Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Absolutely massive episode today for you. It's time for our predictions for every top 5 league, not including the Premier League, of course. That'll be all across Football Daily this week with We Need to Talk, Sunday Vibes, also yesterday's Team Talk, I believe. Before we get into it, McCubs, are you well?
I'm well, thanks, Diggs. How are you?
Good, energised, ready to go. Henry?
Yeah, I'm good. McCubs just said The Dark Knight was average, and he just watched it last night for the first time. So get at him in the comments.
As if we didn't need abuse in the comments.
I did watch it only on a television. I feel like if I'd watched it at a cinema, it might have been better. But yeah. Just, I think it's hard with films when they're billed as, one of the, an all-time classic.
How can you not love The Dark Knight?
Was that your impression of Christian Bale?
No, it's just what everyone's going to be saying.
True. Yeah, nice. You have been very good at you did an impression of Henry last week.
Which was quite similar to that impression of Christian Bale.
I feel like in some ways, if you're doing him,
all impressions lead to Christian Bale.
I feel like sometimes, like if you do an impression of someone and it's just a silly voice, then I see why people are annoyed about it. So I see why you're annoyed about that one, Henry.
Oh, no, not at all. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Anyway.
I need to work on it. But let's get into today's show. We are actually going to start with La Liga. We're going to do it in chronological order of when the league starts. So La Liga and Liga, start this weekend. Bundesliga next Friday. And Serie A, slow starters the week after that. So we're going to do it in chronological order. We're going to start with La Liga. It starts this Friday with Almeria versus Rayo Vallecano and Sevilla versus Valencia at 8 p.m. So some interesting games to kick off with. We're going to talk about title winners, top 4. We're going to do the flops and surprise start of every league. So lots to get through. So nice, and we'll try and be as concise as possible. Let's kick off, Henry, with your title winners of La Liga.
I've gone for Real Madrid. I know it's boring, but I think just Bellingham in the midfield. I still think Barcelona were helped massively by Ter Stegen having an unbelievable campaign last year. I'm not thrilled by Barcelona's signings. I don't think they're much stronger relative to Real Madrid. I just think Carlos last year in charge, I think they could get another big signing in before the summer. Yeah, I'm backing Real Madrid. I've then got Atletico coming second. I really think that they're going to be fun next year. I like how they've cleaned out a lot of the players in their squads. Got Cameo in back from a loan from Rayo last year. He had a good season. Morata extending his deal. I'm excited to see what they'll do. And then I got Barca coming third and Villarreal coming fourth because I think Quique Setien is doing good things with them. I think post-World Cup, they were the 4th best team in La Liga under him. I really like some of their business. I know they've sold Chukwueze and Nicholas Jackson, but I think they've bought well. The other side, getting players through the door, Ben Brereton Diaz, Santi Comasagna from Rayo is a really fun transfer. Sorlot, Denis Suarez, Matteo Gabbio on loan from AC Milan. I think we're going to see more of the same from them next year. High possession, fun football. They're coming in 4th for me. So yeah, that's my top 4.
Interesting. I am intrigued by that. Okay, McCubs, what are you thinking top 4?
I've gone slightly different. I think the thing is, this could, obviously this will change. There's still a month left of the transfer window, pretty much. But I've gone for Atleti to win.
I'm not against it.
I just think I just kind of went on the logic here that Atletico were by a considerable margin the best team in La Liga in the second half of last season, and they haven't got any weaker. They only lost 3 games post World Cup. They outscored everyone. They were posting over 2 goals a game, which is pretty unheard of in the Simeone era. Griezmann is now, completely permanent. I back him to have another incredible campaign. Javi Galán has strengthened the left. The defence they've probably invested in the defence more considerably than they have done in recent seasons as well. I know Azpilicueta was, not in a fit enough shape to play wing back for Chelsea last year or even play right back really, but I think in a back 3 he'll be absolutely fine. He'll bring a lot of needed experience to that back 3. I think Soyuncu in a more defensively coherent system will potentially revive the kind of form that we saw from him in his early days at Leicester. And Santiago Mourinho, who's this 21-year-old centre-back from Racing Montevideo in Uruguay, also looks like an interesting prospect as well. So I think they've strengthened in the right areas. I think they still need another midfield signing. The Højbjerg stuff has, I feel like it's gone a little bit quiet recently, but nevertheless, I think Atletico Madrid, I feel like they have finally come through the other side of this kind of Simeone experiment that we've been seeing over the last couple of years. The last 6 months have been absolutely brilliant. Then I've got Barcelona second, I've got Real Madrid third. Real Madrid will probably win the league if they get in a top-class centre-forward between now and August, but they haven't yet. And I don't think... I love the Bellingham signing, but I think it's a long-term signing. I don't think he necessarily upgrades them like massively in the short term. And I think it's going to be really, really tight. I think it's going to be really, really tight. And similarly to Henry, I don't think Barcelona have had an amazing season, but like you're pointing back to Stegen, like I would back him to have another brilliant season this year. And I think their defence probably is more settled now than it was last year. And bringing in Inigo Martinez as well, who, brilliant, well-experienced La Liga centre-back. Balde, a year older as well. I think Barcelona defensively will probably be fairly sound next year. I think it's going forward where I don't think they've really improved at all. We might even see a drop off from them. So that's why I've gone for them, and then I've gone Sociedad fourth. I just think I was tempted to go Villarreal. Fourth as well. I think they will be the closest challengers to them, but I just think Sociedad, I think they're just a more settled squad. No major outgoings, aside I guess David Silva, you would say, but no super major outgoings. I think Kubo is only going to become more productive next year. Sorloth as well, actually, he is a major outgoing to Villarreal.
Andre Silva's good though.
But that's the thing. I think Andre Silva, I back Andre Silva to at least replicate the goals that Sorloth got. I don't know. I think they've been kind of building for a few years to become a top four side, and last year they finally looked like one. So I think I back them to do it again.
Okay, I thought La Liga was going to be way more straightforward. That we're all backing different sides for the title. I think this is Barcelona's at the moment by a distance. To be honest, I don't really know how you can back Real Madrid at the moment when it's only Joselu leading the line for them.
I'm fine with that though.
It might
said that
change.
last week. I'm fine with that.
But I do think Barcelona finished 10 points clear last year. That defence was exceptional, and yes, ter Stegen had a great year, but other defenders, I think Christensen was excellent. If they bring in someone like João Cancelo at right back, I think that's a complete game changer there as well. Oriol Romeo, it's a little bit of a drop off from Busquets, but not a massive one. And then I think the only issue is the Ousmane Dembele departure. I do think that's a real shame. But Rafinha, hopefully in his second season, will be even more consistent than his first. I think it's Barcelona's to lose. Real Madrid, I think Arda Güler's injury is a real shame if they're playing this box midfield system. But Bellingham as a 10 is brilliant. But they've lost Karim Benzema. 30 goals a season, pretty much guaranteed in all competitions. Top scorer for the last 5-6 years. I think that's a massive, massive absence and a big leader as well. Atleti, I quite liked Atleti's business, and I thought they finished the season really strongly. I think they only lost 2 of their final 21 league games, which is really, really exceptional from them. When it looks like Simeone, the project was sort of falling apart in sort of January time. I think they'll be solid, but I don't see them getting close to Barcelona as it stands. Fourth, I also went Real Sociedad. I've actually gone for exactly the same top 4 as last year, so quite dull. But I do think Betis have been hamstrung by financial issues. I think they've only been able to sign free transfers. And I'm going to get on to Villarreal in just a second. Fine, I might as well get on to them. Villarreal are my flops of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think they'll struggle. Ooh. I think they'll really struggle. I mean, Quique Setien, look, he's a manager that did really well last year. I think it's difficult to come in after a manager as talented as Unai Emery. But I do think Chuck Vasey, the fact they don't have Danjuma, I know he wasn't there last year, they're lacking a little bit of guile on the flanks. And I think Ben Brereton Diaz and I think Sorloth, look, they should score enough goals, but is there enough creativity in a side that was already kind of lacking? I mean, Alex Benya was one of their sort of outstanding midfilders. I slightly worry for Villarreal.
I get that. Pino's 1 year older, Benya's 1 year older. Comesaña was one of the most creative midfielders last year at Rayo Vallecano. He's coming into the midfield there. Dani Parejo is still producing week in, week out. And they've got Brereton Diaz, who does play out wide. He's more of like a wide forward than a centre forward. And they've got Sorloth, who's proven over 2 years. So I'm less concerned
when
by Villarreal.
I say flop, I mean not in top 4 contention necessarily. But that's just me.
Fair enough.
Who's your flop, Henry?
I've gone for Betis.
Betis.
Yeah. I just think the signings, Bellerin's good. Coledo hasn't quite lived up to expectations. They've got Mark Bartra back. Rocker on loan, I think, is fine. But then Iosa Perez, I know he did well last year, but over a whole season, I'm not sure. And Isco hasn't really played football, has he? So, and then the other side of that, they've lost Joaquin's finally retired. I don't think Borja Iglesias does any better than 15 goals last year. I think that really was his peak as a player in sort of all in total. And even in the big games, I remember in the Europa League, he wasn't even featuring in that side. I just think Pellegrini's been there for 3 seasons now, and I think he's going to be frustrated at the lack of movement that Betis are able to do in the market there. They were the 4th biggest overperformers last season by expected points. Well, it was only like +6, but still, I'm not saying Betis is going to have a horrible campaign. I just think it'll be sort of I could see them coming in 10th, 12th, whatever, and not really kicking on and being in a difficult situation where they need to sell again next year to make money. But yeah, I mean, like all these things, happy to be surprised.
Yeah, for sure. A sort of Sevilla-esque season Henry is predicting for Real Betis there, or maybe not flirting with relegation for the first half. The Cubs, your flop?
I was originally thinking to go for Celta Vigo if Gabriel Vega leaves, because they were teetering on with relegation last year. But actually, having said that, like with Benitez in charge, you kind of just back them to stay up. And if you're looking at Celta Vigo flopping, it's like they're gonna go down. So I think I might actually back Celta Vigo to sell. I kind of agree with Henry, to be honest. I think Betis. I think given the business that other clubs have done in their area, I think Betis have been left behind a little bit. Although I do like the Rocker signing, but if you're bringing back Mark Bartra at the age of 32, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have hugely high hopes for them.
They've also got European football, which I think will be more of a hindrance than a blessing this year.
Fair enough. Right, surprise star. I'm going with Granada's 28-year-old winger Mirto Uzuni. Not seen a lot of him, I will say.
Here we go.
22 goals and 6 assists in 38 games last year. And he was directly involved in 51% of their league goals in the Segunda Division. They've just been promoted. I think he could have a good season. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of him. Granada fans, tell me more about him, but looks like one to watch for sure. The Cubs, surprise time?
I think I was kind of drawn to Girona just because they had such a brilliant season last year. I think they were the 5th top scorers in La Liga last season, and they bought really well. They got Daley Blind on a free from Bayern Munich.
Wow!
I think he'll be fantastic. Yangel Herrera in on a permanent for £5 million as well. A great, still only 25 as well. Really, really well experienced La Liga midfielder at this point. But their star signing is Artem Dovbyk from Dnipro, SK Dnipro 1 in Ukraine. Ukraine Premier League top scorer for the last 2 seasons, scored 24 last year. You may remember him from Euro 2020. He scored the last minute goal that got them into the quarterfinals and set up that tie with England.
It's his first ever goal for his country.
Was it his first ever? Yeah. So he scored 5 since then. So and also he comes into a side. Well, I mean, they've recruited well from Ukraine in that they got in Viktor Siankov in January, and he was brilliant. I think he got 3 goals and 6 assists for them from January onwards. So he's got a compatriot in there, joins a really well functioning attack at Girona, a club that I think are really going places, with that Citigroup investment. I back him to I back him to do some damage.
Love that.
He's at a good age as well. So I back him to do well.
Nice. Any fans of the old Extra Time podcast will remember my love of Viktor Siankov. And
oh, really? Was it an old
Verona Yeah, when he was at Dinamo Kyiv. Right, I kept on suggesting him for a number of clubs, but I'm glad to see him making his mark in a top 5 league. Henry, quickly.
Well, exactly the same. And that's
really?
Dovbyk. Yeah.
Nice.
I swear we haven't conferred.
We haven't.
Yeah. He's 29 in all competitions last year, 14 before that, 10 before that. And I do remember his goal, because I remember seeing it, the transfer go through. I remember his goal in the Euros. And once you look at the numbers, it's crazy. 12. If you consider how much Mudryk went for, and I'm not saying he's got the same flair. His first touch isn't great, Dovbyk, but it gives me that Stuani feel. So I won't waste anyone else's time. I went for Artem Dovbyk as well. So how fun's that?
Nice.
As we always say, we actually haven't conferred beforehand. I wonder how much agreement there will be. Very little in La Liga aside from that. Right, let's move on to Liga. Also starts this Friday with Nice versus Lille. Big game in Liga. Let's do this quite quickly. Well, not necessarily quickly. Let's see how it goes. Winners. Henry, who are you thinking?
Yeah, so this. Marseille.
Really?
LAOM. Yeah, I just think I just think, you know, as PSG have shown, they can lose the title when the conditions are rife. And I think that, although I really like Luis Enrique as the manager,
I think he's too good to lose the title.
I think I'm ready. I'm ready for where you can laugh all you want, Joe. But I think OM are going to win. I've got Marseille, obviously PSG. I've got Rennes and Lille. So far, I think Lille are going to have a really good season. They've actually not sold anyone really major other than Timothy Weah, which is completely fine. They've actually spent more money than they've sold so far. And L'Équipe said that they're probably going to keep Jonathan David for another campaign. So, and they've made some fun signings too. Håkon Haraldsson, 12 million euros from Copenhagen. I'm excited to see. But yeah, Marseille, we've talked about them a lot. I love the business which they've done. Exciting on all flanks. And if they can just start well and keep with PSG, PSG have still got the Mbappé question. Neymar's now come out and said that he wants to leave or maybe being pushed out the door. There's still loads of big egos and names in that side that could still be there for next year, and then they'll have to be reintegrated into the squad. For me, the conditions are rife for someone like Marseille, who've got a great manager in and a great squad, to take the Ligue 1 title. So yeah, that's what I've gone for. Marseille, PSG, Rennes, Lille.
Love it. Okay, McCubs, are you also dining at Crazy Table?
I am dining at Crazy Table.
You're going Marseille as well?
Well, I think Ligue 1's going to be. I think Ligue 1 will be really interesting this year. Maybe as interesting as it's ever been, to be honest. Just because I think PSG, like Mbappe may stay, but there's also been a ton of turnover at that side. You know, like I think this has always been the thing with PSG. It's like they always say there's always, we've got to change our ways this year or whatever in terms of thing. But it's like you can only do that so much when you're literally turning over the squad like every single year. And I do think they've got great experience in there. Like I think in some ways the squad they have is better cut out for a deep run in Europe than it is a 38-game season. Like, I think Luis Enrique, I do rate him as a manager, but this is his first club job in 7 years, taking over a squad which does not know each other particularly well in some key areas, namely central defence, the link between midfield and attack. So I've gone for Lille because they are very settled, and like Henry says, I think their chances of keeping hold of Jonathan David are getting better. There haven't been any big suitors in for him. He doesn't want to leave Europe, and I think the signing of Samuel Umtiti as a replacement for Jose Font is inspired. Haraldsson from Copenhagen? I haven't read much about him, but apparently he's a super high pressing attacker. Will suit Fonseca's style, and yeah, I've kind of gone with a similar logic to with Atletico Madrid. To be honest, they were the best team in Liga and from January onwards last year. I think only Lens lost fewer games than them from January. They haven't been weakened significantly in the squad. Their goalkeeper looks really exciting. He had an excellent season last year. 21-year-old. What's his name again? Lucas Chevalier. That's it. He had a really impressive season last year. So defensively, they still look fairly decent, and they have become just a much better side going forward under Fonseca. But they could quite easily. I think it's going to be really tight. The top four. I've gone for them first. I've gone PSG second. I wanted to put Rennes higher, but I just think, I think Marseille will do really well under Marcelino. So I've gone Marseille third and Rennes fourth. But I think Rennes potentially the most exciting attacking team in France next year, just because of the ridiculous amount of talent they've got in those forward areas. But I just think Lille have a really nice mix, and I think across the season, barring major injuries, I think they will be the most consistent team.
Interesting. I mean, a lot of divergent opinions already. I'm actually going PSG. Boringly,
yeah.
I just think they look very balanced now. I think Skriniar, Ugarte, I think these are good signings. I think they have lost some attacking flair, but we've been saying for years that they need to become a more cohesive unit, and they could now. They could. I am slightly concerned about the Neymar wanting to leave news. Doesn't really make a lot of sense from a personal perspective of Neymar, because I don't think he's going to get a move to anywhere in Europe except for Saudi Arabia. Well, that's not even in Europe. I don't think he's going to get a move to anywhere bar Saudi Arabia, is what I mean to say. Unless Chelsea pull out some mental deal, but I don't think that's going to happen. And as you say, I think Luis Enrique is the best manager in that league in terms of quality. So I think he should be good enough to oversee this takeover, as it were, or this new period. Second, Marseille. I think we've said that enough times. I'm actually going third Monaco. I think Disasi leaving, replaced by Salisu, I think that's a slight upgrade, to be totally honest. I think he's a really, really good player. I also really rate Adi Hutter as a manager. I know it didn't work out so well at Gladbach, but his Frankfurt side were brilliant. Got them well punching above their weight, European runs, etc. And they've still got a lot of firepower. The only downside is I saw today Mbolo has just done his ACL, which is not good news. But I think Ben Yedder is probably one of the best strikers in France now. Well, it has been for a number of years now. And Golovin I really rate behind them as well. Kept hold of Yusuf Fofana in midfield. I think they could go third, but to be honest, I think they're all good shouts. I think Liga is going to be fascinating. Maybe potentially quite Serie A-esque in having sort of 6 or 7, maybe more like 5 or 6 very good, quite evenly matched sides, with PSG for me angling just in front.
Who's fourth for you?
I didn't actually have down a fourth because only 3 get Champions League, but I'd probably go Rennes. Right, flop, I'm going Luca Hernandez. Quite brutal, but a lot of money signed for.
Wow, love it.
And coming off an ACL injury. I don't think he's a bad player by any means, but it does take a while to recover from an ACL injury. It's going to be very difficult to get up to speed. And even when they're at full strength, I'm not sure he's a guaranteed starter either, unless they're playing some 3 at the back system, which would be a departure from Enrique. So he's my flop, McCub.
I've actually gone Monaco for flops. I just think Disasi and Badiashile both leaving within 6 months is quite big. I think Salisu for the price is great, but
Wait till Tosin arrives.
Sorry?
Wait till Tosin arrives.
Wow, Tosin Adarabioyo.
Well, apparently he wants to go to Monaco.
Okay, fair. He would be decent. This is the thing. I'm kind of going on what's happening at the moment.
Oh, you got to.
And I think that Briel Mbolo injury is huge. Like 12 goals for the last year. Ben Yedder, do I see him getting more than the 19 he got last year? No. Like at 32, I could see his output potentially slowing down. Myron Boadu has not produced enough since signing. I think he's got 7 in his last 2 seasons. So really they need to sign a new centre forward because Briel Mbolo is out for at least a few months. I just don't think they've got. I think they've got worse in attack. I think they've potentially got worse at the back. And actually, I think Badiashile leaving did affect them last year. I think they conceded something like 58 in the league in the end. Like that is not Champions League form. I'm not even sure that's Europa League form, and they finished 6th. So I just can't. I can't see them improving on last year, and I feel like they may even finish lower potentially.
Yeah, we have it, Henry.
Yeah, I found it quite hard actually to pick a flop in Ligue this season. Todd Bowley's first season in charge of Strasbourg. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? I went for Lyon this year, although they did show a lot of promise towards the back end of the campaign under Laurent Blanc. Romain Favre has gone, who I think is really good. He's gone to Bournemouth. Malo Gusto's obviously left.
Well, he's gone to Lorient. They've sent him on loan to. Well,
there we go. Forgive me. Husam Aouar, I know he didn't play loads last year. He's gone. Boateng too. And the signings they've made, like Chaleta Sarr on loan.
You're not an Ainsley Maitland-Niles believer?
Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I mean, I can't believe he's got that move. That he said it himself in his reveal. He said, if you told me when I was 6 I'd be playing for Lyon, I would have never believed it. And I can't believe that after everything he's just gone through, fair play to him. And I really do hope the best for him. I want Maitland-Niles to be a good footballer.
I like him.
Full-time
Very
contract.
versatile.
A long-term contract is what he needed at a club, and he's got it. So good on him.
Is it a really long deal?
Until 2027. So yeah, go show what you can do. But yeah, I just think that they haven't. I don't back Lacazette to repeat what he did last year. Again, I think that was just a truly exceptional campaign for him. They've lost Dembele as well, far behind. The guys they've signed, who knows? Like Clinton Matter from Club Brugge could turn out to be great. Who knows what they'll be bringing up through their academy? But I don't back it. I'm going Lyon for a flop, but I'm more excited by my surprise package, which is Le Havre, coming up from Ligue 2 this season. I mean, the oldest
Always
club...
got a good academy.
Oldest club in French football, which I think is... when we all started playing FIFA when we were younger, they were always in Ligue 1. I always remember them. They've spent 14 years in Ligue 2. As you said, unbelievable academy over the years. Pogba, Payet, Mandanda, Furland and Edouard Mendy, Bryce Samba, Mahrez, Lassana Diarra, Cinema Pongal. Who else do I need to say?
Shout out.
But yeah, and last year they went 32 games unbeaten. If they'd gone one more game unbeaten, it would have been a Ligue 1, Ligue 1 or Ligue 2 record. So they were so close. They don't score loads of goals, but they're defensively super sound. Luka Elsner, really kind of interesting manager in charge from Slovenia. They just got in Daler Kuziaev from Zenit on a free. I don't know loads about him, but he's worth 10 million euros on Transfermarkt. So that's a bit of a coup to get him through the door. I just think they're clearly like a giant who have been sleeping, waiting for their moment to get back into Liga. It was so hard last year, given those limited opportunities. Bordeaux are down there. Metz as well, they've come up too, who've built a good side. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Le Havre could do. I think that this is their moment to show that all that work in their academy, they can transfer that to Ligue 1, and I hope they stay up. I really do. And they've got one of their players, is Amir Richardson, who's the son of NBA star Michael Ray Richardson, which I think is quite a nice.
Is he a big NBA?
I don't know, but that's what I read, and I thought that was cool. I just really hope Le Havre do well next year. They got their stadium's called like the Stade Océan, which I thought was nice.
Oh,
so,
lovely. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know anything about NBA. He might be a really big name.
I don't know.
What was he called? Something Richardson.
Amir
Richardson. Fair enough. I think that's much more convincing, except for the slight NBA mention, which is kind of random, than my shout, which was Toulouse. I mainly did that off the fact that they should have been higher up than they were last season. I think they should have been 9th by expected goals. They're actually 13th. They have lost Continental club favourite Branko van der Boomen. Yeah, gone to Ajax. Big loss, but they've signed a player from Wolfsburg called Niklas Schmidt and a guy from New York Red Bulls called Christian Caceres Jr., who had an okay scoring record as well. And they've kept both their strikers who contributed 22 league goals last year. So maybe Toulouse can push up from 13th into sort of mid-table.
Yeah,
McCubs?
I back that. They always recruit well, don't they? I've gone for, is it a surprise? I think because of the season he had last year, I think you could count it. First of all, I do think if Lille do finish in the top two, then I think Umtiti and Lucas Chevalier will be like two of the stars of the season. But I've gone for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Marseille.
Lovely.
I think he could
really nice
have
guy.
a big season. Only played 550 league minutes last term. But I just think back to that spell at Barcelona, where he was coming off like a really rough few months at Arsenal, and just kind of stepped into a side that were kind of finding their feet and just absolutely banged. And I kind of feel like he's just joining a Marseille side, which are really, really fun. I know they don't have Payet there anymore, but I think Iliman Ndiaye is an amazing signing, and I think, I don't know, it seems like the kind of player that if they were to play together in the league, like Ndiaye, just super creative, just a really, really fun attack all round. They've got their great fullbacks as well in terms of creativity. I can see Aubameyang scoring like at least 20 in Liga, and feel like it's could be a kind of Lacazette situation where he's kind of second or third in the scorers list.
I love that. I hope he has a good season because he does deserve. He was at one stage one of the most lethal strikers in Europe, and it's slightly petered out.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those ones where it's like I don't think his kind of him getting older has really affected his ability just to get on the end of balls. Like he's still so good at that. Yeah. Like his movement in the box is still excellent.
Yeah, let's have it. Aubameyang remontada. Right, let's move on to the Bundesliga, which starts next Friday, so a week tomorrow as you're watching this, with Werder Bremen versus Bayern Munich. I swear Bayern are always playing the first game on that Friday night. I'll go first. I'll do my top four. I think it's quite simple, really, unfortunately, in terms of winners, because even if they don't get Harry Kane, I think they'll sign a striker, and I think it's got to be Bayern Munich. I think Tuchel is an excellent manager. He's got by far the most experience of these sort of top four, top five contenders. And everyone said, they've had a really difficult summer. They haven't signed Declan Rice. They've missed out on David Raya, etc. They've still signed Kim Min-jae and Rafael Guerreiro and Konrad Laimer on frees. Like, that's a really good summer by all accounts. If they sign a striker, there's still so many scoring options in that side. They'll take so much confidence from being so abysmal last year and still winning the league that I think they'll be very, very difficult to stop, especially when you consider that Dortmund have lost their best player for the third summer in a row. I think that's going to have an effect eventually, even though I think Sabitzer's a pretty smart pickup. And Metsch's, got a lot to prove there. Lost Guerreiro too. I'm actually got Dortmund finishing third. I've got Bayer Leverkusen in second.
Woo!
Yeah, it's kind of my punchiest shout of the episode. I mean, Moussa Diaby, Mitchell Bakker and Kerem Demirbay have all left. Obviously, the biggest departure of that is Moussa Diaby. But I think they've strengthened really well. I mean, Jonas Hoffmann is a replacement for Moussa Diaby.
I like it.
Really, really good. I mean, he's not obviously as lightning fast, but he's a really good goal scorer for Gladbach. He's been ultra consistent there for a number of years. And I just think that they finished really, really well last season. They only lost 5 of their final 22 games to finish 6th. They had that run in the Europa League, where they lost 1-0 to Roma in the semi-finals. They actually dominated at least 75% of that time. We're probably quite unfortunate to get knocked out. And I think they've added some good experience as well. They've added Alex Grimaldo to replace Mitchell Bakker at left back. I think that's an upgrade. They've added Granit Xhaka to that midfield. I think that's an upgrade if he carries his Arsenal form over. Jonas Hoffmann, maybe not an upgrade, but a very, very good player. And then Victor Boniface until Patrick Schick comes back from injury. Hopefully he does well. You know, he looked pretty promising last year for Union Saint-Gilloise. So best of luck to Bayer Leverkusen. In terms of my fourth, I've got Leipzig. I think they've actually signed some interesting players. Particularly Xavi Simons. I think he has the potential to actually light up the Bundesliga. It's like a bit of a shame for Fabio Carvalho that he's now competing with Xavi Simons as well as Dani Olmo and Forsberg, etc., and players like that. But they've just lost too much quality. Szoboszlai, Gvardiol, and Kunku is now injured, which I feel so bad for him. I think that is it's going to be a little bit of a drop-off for Leipzig. So that is my top four in Germany. Bayern, Bayer Leverkusen, Dortmund, Leipzig. Henry?
Well, yeah, I've got Bayern, Bayer Leverkusen seconds. I agree with you. I think Florian Wirtz getting the number 10 shirt is really fun. Holding on to him's great. But yeah, all the kind of reasons that Dougie mentioned there, I think they're going to have a great campaign next year. I think it's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be super close. I think it's going to be a 4-team race. Although Bayern will get over the line. Leipzig, they've spent 126 million euros so far. That is a huge number. And
Brought
if you think,
in a lot, though.
pardon?
They brought in a lot.
Yeah, exactly. They've bought a lot of players. They can have loads of options next year to figure it out. El Chadil, Bichiabu, and then obviously Simakan's already here. These guys could step up to the plate in Gvardiol's absence. Openda, Šeško, stacked teams. Yeah, I'm backing them. I think it's going to be a super, super tight race this year. Dortmund's business. I still think they need a few more bodies through the door. So yeah, I've got Dortmund in fourth, Leipzig in third. So yeah, that's my top four. I'm very excited for the Bundesliga title run this year and hoping that by the end of the season, once again, they can put pressure on Bayern. I'm just hoping it's not Borussia Dortmund who are the ones who are doing it. So,
McCubs.
It won't be. It won't be. I was tempted for the second year in a row to back Bayern to lose because I thought
You went Leipzig last year.
I went Leipzig last year, and I thought, and to be fair, Leipzig were, you know, aside from that horror show first 5 weeks, like would have been very much in that title race. And Dortmund were, shame, isn't it? But I am backing Bayern to win it. I just think, I kind of agree with everything you guys have said. I think, you know, just the manager there is just, he just has more experience. I think he has a better range to his kind of tactical approach. And they're just better defensively. They are just much better defensively on paper than they were last year. I think if
to sort out goalkeeper though, I suppose.
They do, but I would still back. Well, I don't know. Who knows what Neuer's going to be like off the back of this injury? But I back them to sign a decent goalkeeper. So yeah, Bayern to win. But I think Leipzig will run them close in second. I think Leipzig. Yes, I think that the fees that they got for the players going out has maybe overinflated our kind of perception of what they're losing. I think Gvardiol is the biggest loss for sure. But
Not Nkunku.
Nkunku, 16 league goals last year. Szoboszlai, I think 6 league goals last year.
Nkunku was injured for a bit though.
Nkunku was injured for a bit. That is true. But I just think Xavi Simons, Lois Openda, Baumgartner, between the three of them, they scored almost 50 goals last year. And I think Openda is cut out for the Bundesliga. Like he is he's a transitional team's kind of dream in terms of being able to play off the last man. Xavi Simons is good enough to start for like an elite European club at this stage. It's just about where his position is, but he is super versatile, so I think he's going to take the Bundesliga by storm. And Baumgartner, great numbers for a really poor Hoffenheim side last year. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair on Hoffenheim there, but they were poor at moments or for periods. But yeah, I think if they hadn't lost Gvardiol, I would have been more tempted to kind of stick my neck out for them. But I think he is a big loss, and I think Bichiabu looks like a great prospect, but he's only 18 and is not at the level that Gvardiol was at that age. So yeah, I think that's where we might see the drop off from them. So I've gone Bayern, Leipzig. I was going to put Dortmund third actually, but I think you guys have won me over. I think I'll go Leverkusen third. I was going to have them fourth.
Love it.
But I think you're right, and I think. I think the Moussa Diaby loss will be potentially
Compensated.
compensated by Frimpong moving a bit further forward, and who have they got in at right back? The Brazilian guy, I can't remember his name. Artur, that's it. So yeah, and I don't know. We all just love Xabi Alonso, don't we? So just
cool
kind of
guy.
pure vibes. Yeah, have we gone? Are we doing? Shall I just go on? To
Yeah,
my
go on
flop?
your flop.
I gotta think Felix and Mecha. I might be a bit. I might be
So good.
maybe a bit. Maybe a bit harsh, but it's just a big fee. I think it's a big fee in Bundesliga terms. Like you often see 30+ million passing between two Bundesliga sides, and for a guy who got, I think it was 6 xG last year in quite a good Wolfsburg team. Not to kind of disrespect him, like he's still only 22, but I just think that Dortmund midfield's going to be under a bit of pressure to replace the output of both Guerrero and Bellingham, and I think Sabitzer just fits more easily. I think he's just more experienced. I think he's more versatile. Whereas in Mecha, I think there's going to be pressure on him to deliver in the final third. And I think we've often seen it at Dortmund in recent years, like kind of attack-minded players don't always bang in their first season. So I feel like a Mecha won't be worth that 30 million in the first year. He may well develop to be a really good asset to that team, but I don't quite see
The instant impact.
Yeah, I don't see the instant impact from him.
Henry, flop.
Union Berlin. Yeah.
Your favourites?
Well,
Not anymore.
they were last season. Yeah, they finished 4th last season on 62 points. Expected points said they should have got 42 and finished 13th. And so obviously they overperformed last year. Great minimal possession style, counter-attacking. I love Union Berlin, but yeah, they scored 51. Expected goals said they should have scored 35. That was the lowest in the Bundesliga by expected goals. I just don't think you can repeat that.
Especially with Champions League football.
Yeah.
Champions League
It
football.
has Leicester City 16-17 written all over it.
I agree with you.
What a plucky run to the last 16.
I
but-
don't get
Once
me
you go
wrong.
into the last 16, but almost get relegated.
I like some of their signings.
I think they actually
Yeah,
maybe
the
made,
two- the
they
two
might-
star
Leicester
signings
might have
were-
made the quarters that year. Anyway,
They
so
did make the quarter. I think they were the best performing English team in the Champions League. It's wild.
Wow, look at them now. Yeah, and Brendan Aronson's good. I like Datro Fofana through the door, but in principle, I think they're going to have a really tough time next year. I think the rest of the Bundesliga is looking so strong, with Eintracht kind of back as well. I think Freiburg are going to be there and thereabout as well. So yeah, I also think Heidenheim are going to have a historically crap season, and I mean this politely. You remember Greuther Fürth came up and had a really horrible time. I think it's going to be a similar situation. I just think
like Schalke a few years ago. as well.
yeah. Heidenheim are even smaller than the teams I've mentioned. It's unbelievable they're there. Good luck to them. But yeah, I think they're going to have a difficult period. But yeah, Union Berlin for me.
My flop is Gladbach. I think they could be in a relegation mix this year.
Really?
They finished 10th last year with 43 points. That was their lowest tally in 12 years. And their lowest points tally in 12 years too. So their positioning and their points tally. They've lost Hoffmann. They've lost Benzabaini. They've lost Marcus Thuram, all on frees. They've lost Stindl as well. Hoffmann wasn't on a free, sorry, but the three latter ones were. So they didn't get any money for any of them. The only redeeming feature I could find for Gladbach this season is they've got Gerardo Seoane as their manager, who is an exciting attacking manager. Did a very good job at Leverkusen for the first half, 60-70% of his time at Leverkusen. Obviously started really badly last year. But yeah, I'm really worried about Gladbach. I think they might go down. Not down. I think they might be in the mix.
The striker they've signed from Sparta Prague.
Yes, Thomas Cavankara. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Got 15 goals in 23 games last year.
He looks fun. He looks all right.
Well, who knows? I've never heard of him. But let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can
They
do.
kept hold of Manu Kone. I was considering going for them, but the fact they kept hold of Manu Kone, I don't know. I just feel like they'll be. Yeah, but I do agree. I think they won't finish top half. I don't think.
They also brought in Frank Honorat from Brest, who's got quite a good record in Liga. Cubs, who's your surprise star?
Well, contrary to what Henry said, Heidenheim. I reckon they might just stay up. Yeah, I mean, I just love their story. They've been managed by Frank Schmidt since 2007. He's been there so long, and they've been battling in the Bundesliga since 2014, and they've had a very kind of steady rise in that sense, coming up from the fourth tier, 16 years ago. This is their first time in the Bundesliga. They beat, quite strong Darmstadt and Hamburg sides to win the Bundesliga last year. Granted, they did it in kind of, Man City 2012 style, 2 goals in stoppage time that, got them to win the title by on goal difference, and Hamburg were in third, 1 point behind them. So if they hadn't, if they'd even drawn that game, they would have finished third. So yeah, like it was super, super tight, and yeah, their squad is, that there's almost no recognisable kind of faces in that squad at all. It's really, in terms of the value of that squad, it's super, super low. Like tons of players who, like according to Transfermarkt at least, are not worth as much as €1 million. So like they are, serious underdogs. But I just think, I don't know, like I think when you've had a manager in charge for that long, I think there is always a chance. Like I think there's clearly a real team spirit there, and the bottom of the Bundesliga has been quite ropey in recent years. I think there is always a chance with a team like that, but maybe I'm just getting all romantic about it, and I'm thinking like Christian Streich, at Freiburg. But yeah, I think Heidenheim, who knows? Maybe they could surprise us.
Love it. Henry, quickly, surprise star.
Oh right, have you done yours?
No, I'm going Wolfsburg. I think they finished really strongly last year, finished 8th. They've signed this guy from Twente, who sounds incredible, who I haven't watched, called Vaclav Czerny. He's got 24 league goal contributions last year, nearly 4 shots a game, 3 chances creative. Twente's fans, let me know if he's good. But yeah, bring him on. And Ruggiero as well from Sassuolo, who's a good left back.
I've gone for Stuttgart. I think they finished 16th twice in a row now. I think this is going to be the time they kind of correct the situation. I think they've got Sebastian Hoeneß, who's a really good coach. He won 6 of his 12 games last season. He was at Hoffenheim for a long time before that. I like their business. Got Girassi on a permanent deal. He got 11 goals last season. Alexander Nubel in goal is such a good loan signing because they've lost Florian Müller, their former number 1. But he's gone. And the only person I can see who's consistently playing for them last year, other than Müller, was Silas, the winger, Waman Katuka, and he's gone on a free transfer. So
have they kept hold of Borna Sosa as well?
I need to double check that. Yeah. But they've still got Mavropanos at centre half. As it stands, I just think they've got Jamie Llewellyn, who I didn't play loads for Union, but it's an exciting guy. So yeah, I think they've made some decent additions. Expected points said they should have finished a lot higher last season than they did. So yeah, I think this is going to be the year that we see them really push back into the top half of the table.
There we have it. Right, let's move on to Serie A, which also starts next weekend. So the same weekend as the Bundesliga. Starts on Saturday the 19th of August. According to current fixture list, that might change. We're going to do this fairly rapido. I'm going winners top 4, Milan, Inter, Napoli, Atalanta. But I thought Serie A was incredibly
really
difficult to do.
Yeah.
I also think I'm underplaying potentially Lazio. I think Roma have used the free markets pretty well, but I'm worried about Tammy Abraham. I think Milan have had the best window, but there's a lot of change there. Inter have lost some big players. Brozovic, Dzeko, Onana. And Napoli, I think, have just taken such a regression in their manager and Kim Min-jae that I just don't think they'll have a title in them. I think they could challenge, but I think it's going to be crazy tight. So I'm going Milan, Inter, Napoli, Atalanta. Who did you guys have as your winners?
I've actually gone Milan. Milan. Yeah, I think that the summer has been incredible. They've kept hold of all their best players. I think the defence is super settled. Same manager. That right-hand side is just such a big upgrade, isn't it? I've got Milan, Napoli, Inter, and then Roma. I was really tempted to go for Atalanta, because I think they've had a good summer as well. But I just think Roma, if they can build on what they were good at last year, they've brought in some really good players. But I think Napoli, I think Inter have lost too many key players in key areas. I think Napoli, although they have had a downgrade in manager, at least they have kept hold of all of their key players, apart from Kim Min-jae.
So did you have Napoli second?
I've got Napoli second. Yeah. I think Napoli will come second, but I think it's going to be super tight.
Fair. Henry?
Yeah, I've got Inter winning it,
Ooh.
AC Milan, Roma, Lazio, but I'm willing to be interchangeable on those, to be honest.
Napoli dropping out the top 4.
I've got Napoli as my flop, which I'll get onto.
Okay,
but,
wow.
Yeah, I know. Inter, by the way, according to Transfermarkt, I've lost 33 players this window, which is just crazy. All things considered, loads of players have gone. Yeah, but I still think Jan Sommer in goal is more than enough to...
He is good. Thuram's a good signing as well.
Thuram's good. Fratesi, and I think we're going to see more of Aslani because he didn't really get many minutes last year. I think we're going to see more of him. Acerbi permanently, and Juan Cuadrado is really cool. And actually, Jan Orel Bisek from Aarhus in Denmark is apparently a massive, massive star in the making. 6.5 million euros, 21-year-old centre-back from the Köln Academy in Germany. He's played for Germany all the way through at youth level. Aarhus had the tightest defence in the Danish Superliga last year, and apparently he was the main one. 6'4", been likened to Antonio Rudiger, the way that he flies out. I'm really excited to see what he could do. Maybe not next year.
Sold.
But yeah, I just think I'm excited for Inter.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like you said, Roma. I'm wearing my Roma hat really on that one. But yeah, Lazio, great business. I didn't even know Daichi Kamada had gone there. The average age of their signings is 23. I think Castellanos.
They needed to.
Yeah, Gustav Isaacsson's good as well. I'm excited to see what Sarri is building there. So yeah, that's why they're in my top 4 too. But yeah, I've got Inter to win it just because I think the continuity is just about okay from last year, and I still think they're really strong across the board. I think Lautaro Martinez is just a cheat code up front. So yeah. That's what I'm going for.
I was sad not to include Lazio. I really liked it as well. I like Sarri as well, turning down Fred because he already knew he was getting Daichi Kamada as well.
Can I explain why Napoli are my flop?
Yeah, go for it. Because that was a headline.
Yeah, I just think if Victor Osimhen does go, because if Saudi are willing to pay something stupid up to 200 million, he could go. The only signings they've made are basically they've had to pay out for Simeone and Raspadori, haven't they? Which is fine, but the pair of them didn't play loads of minutes last season. They weren't like the starters, were they? Nathan coming in from Red Bull Bragantino in Brazil. He could be. He's never. My concern is he's never played for Brazil at any point in youth level. I think he was part of the Flamengo youth setup. To now come in and be expected to be the Kim Min-jae replacement, I think is a bit of a tall order for him. Although he has played over 100 games in the Brazil Serie A already, even though he comes with knee injuries. Their pre-season so far has been against Hatayspor, Spal, Girona, Augsburg, and Apollon Limassol. Okay, they haven't lost any yet, not including Limassol. They haven't played yet. But I just think with Rudy Garcia as well, with the strengthening of the rest of Serie A, I really wanted to include Atalanta in the top 4 as well. I just think they're going to have a bit of a wake-up call, and I think if there's going to be questions over Osimhen's future, that's going to feed into questions over Kavic's future. It looks like Zielinski might leave before the end of the window to Saudi Arabia. I'm just concerned about it, really. Kim Min-jae is a huge loss too. I just think we could see them drop out.
Fair enough. Flop, I actually had down Juve, but they don't have European football, so I'm actually changing that. I think they could have, and they were actually good down the stretch last year until, it's
pretty mad that none of us have them in our top 4.
I know. I really thought about it. I mean, they were very good, and then they got the points rededucted.
I had them in the top 4, but then their business is just so dull.
They had to spend that money. They had these obligations to buy from 2 years ago, and Moyes Ken.
Yeah, I know, but Milik as well. I mean, it's not a great piece of business for Juventus, so that's why I didn't think they were strong enough to challenge.
So I've actually changed to Fiorentina. Nico Gonzalez in talks with Brentford, apparently. Yeah. Amrabat potentially leaving. They've lost. They sold Alta Cabral to Benfica. I know he wasn't brilliant for Fiorentina yet. Oh. He's gone in as the Gonzalo Ramos replacement. I feel a bit sorry for Vincenzo Italiano because reaching the Conference League final last June or whatever it was, end of May. I feel like he hasn't really been back. So they're my flops. Fiorentina.
I've actually gone Lazio. I just think they're going to drop out of the top 4 quite easily. I think they'll finish probably below Atalanta. I think they'll probably finish below Juve. I just think Milinkovic-Savic is a huge loss. And they can't really rely on Immobile up top anymore. Yes, the Kamada signing, great. I think he will be really good. Castellanos, he's got a lot of work to do there. A lot of pressure on him to score because that forward line is still pretty aging. I know Zaccagni had a great year last year, but I just think Lazio were punching above their weight a bit last year, and I think there's been a lot more strengthening at other sides. I could see Lazio finishing 6th or 7th. I could probably see them finishing 7th.
Nice. Henry, you've done your flop. Who's your surprise star, quickly?
Nice little finish. Christian Volpato, who has been bought by Sassuolo from Roma for 7.5 million euros. Probably best known last year for a 4-minute cameo against Verona where he got a goal and an assist to help Roma win it. Australian, Italian. He rejected the chance to play for Australia because he wants to play for Italy. So he played for the under-21s recently. He's got really exciting. Roma wanted to keep hold of him, but I think he ultimately looked at the game time, certainly under Mourinho, that he was getting. And he's gone to Sassuolo, who, let's not forget, Fratesi, Boga, Scamacca, Locatelli, Hammer Troiore, Raspadori, Sensi. These are all players that have come up through their system recently. It's exactly the kind of player that I think at Sassuolo could do really well. He said that's why he went there, because he wants to be a young guy in a team that like to play young players. I'm really excited to see what he could do next year. I think he could have a really big breakout campaign for Sassuolo. Volpato.
Love that. I'm getting all on board the Gianluca Scamacca train at Atalanta. Big time. I mean, I'm backing them for top 4, so they're going to have him scoring. I think under the tutelage of Gasperini, nice arm around the shoulder. He's clearly got quality. I think he'll do really well there.
Yeah, on the subject of Atalanta, Dukes, Scamacca did cross my mind, to be fair, but I just thought he was so good last time in Serie A for Sassuolo that I'd maybe avoid him. But I think Charles De Ketelaere is going to have a big season at Atalanta.
Atalanta train as well.
Yeah, like they play with a front two. De Ketelaere was brilliant for Brugge in a front two, but he can also play in attacking midfield. And Atalanta have always got great kind of goal output from their attacking midfielders, thinking someone like Ruslan Malachowski in the past. I think De Ketelaere is going to have a big season at Atalanta. I think Milan, considering how much of a disappointment he was last term, I think Milan have got a decent deal for him. I think it will come to around 30 million euros in total if everything goes to plan. I don't think it's terrible from Milan, considering the kind of deals that they've got and how much they've transformed their forward line this term or this summer. But I think, De Ketelaere, he just looks cut out to get the Gasperini treatment, I think. So him, Lookman, and Scamacca as a forward line. In some ways, he looks really exciting, doesn't he? But in some ways, I feel like De Ketelaere and Lookman are a better fit potentially than Scamacca and Lookman, depending on how. I say that actually they did play in a front three at many points last season. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think De Ketelaere, whatever happens, will have a great season.
Good shout. That is our predictions for the top 5 leagues. We were going to talk about the Champions League, Europa League and Conference League, but I actually think, why don't we save that till before they begin? I think that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah. And we'll leave you waiting for that in a couple of weeks' time. When does the Champions League tend to start? September time? But guys, thank you so much.
We don't even know who's going to be in the Europa League.
Well, exactly. So why don't we wait and see? Guys, thank you so much for watching our predictions for the 23-24 season. I hope you guys, enjoyed it, whether you agreed or disagreed. We're all quite different, actually, but I think we've made for an entertaining episode. Get your thoughts on top 4 winners, surprise start and flop for every one of those leagues in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As ever, we'll catch you later in the week. Bye-bye.